Diplomatic moves to end the Ukraine war are stepping up. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is meeting the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer in London. Their talks come ahead of US President Donald Trump's summit with the Russian President Vladimir Putin. That's in Alaska on Friday. There are fears the meeting could lead to an outcome that favours Russian goals in Ukraine. On the ground, fighting has intensified. Russia says Ukraine has fired dozens of drones across the border, causing fires in two southern regions. In Belgorod, 3 people were wounded when a Ukrainian drone struck a car in the regional capital. And in Volgograd, the governor says debris from the strikes caused a fire at an oil refinery. Let's cross to London. Jonah Hull is standing by for us there. So Zelenskyy in town, Jonah. Final discussions, I guess, before Friday's meeting between Trump and Putin.
Yeah, I imagine something like that. Volodymyr Zelenskyy is inside number 10 Downing Street. He's only been there for half an hour, and I can tell you the convoy motors are already running to take him away in about the next half an hour. It's not expected to be a long meeting. We're not expecting a press conference, so we're not necessarily going to get a read on exactly what was talked about here. But as you say, it's all about the meeting in Alaska tomorrow, Friday, between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. Fears among European allies and Mr. Zelenskyy, of course, that will result, or it's going to result in a sort of big power carve-up of Ukraine, Trump and Putin getting together to decide on the terms of a peace deal, complete with land and security concessions, and then present it, fait accompli, to Zelenskyy as a sort of forced capitulation. There is now optimism, though, that perhaps Trump is going to toe a slightly tougher line with Putin, that after a phone call that took place between Trump, Zelenskyy and European leaders in Berlin. Well, Zelenskyy was in Berlin on Wednesday. Trump talking afterwards about severe consequences if Putin doesn't meaningfully engage in talks towards a ceasefire. Keir Starmer congratulating Trump for coming up with what he described as a viable path to peace. Well, we don't know what that viable path is now, but I think what they'll be talking about in there is exactly what Trump did say, what Trump meant by what he said, and what Trump might actually do when he comes face to face with Putin on Friday. Those 3 things don't necessarily, of course, follow one from the other, as Zelenskyy knows all too well, and he will see Keir Starmer not just as a key ally, but as a leader who perhaps has Trump's ear more than most.
Also, Jonah, perhaps, potentially talking about post-war security in the event of any peace deal, because Starmer and the UK are key to that.
Well, they've got to talk about how they might respond to whatever comes out of Friday's meeting, and that will be key to it, how to secure any eventual peace deal. Starmer, along with Emmanuel Macron of France, of course, have spearheaded this so-called coalition of the willing countries that are willing to participate in some form of peacekeeping-style security operation post-war. We know that Putin has said that Ukraine cannot join NATO, that it has to sort of de facto disarm. Trump has been pretty firm up to now in saying the US won't provide security guarantees. All of that would leave Ukraine deeply vulnerable. Again, out of Wednesday's phone call, there appears to have been a door opening towards the idea that the US might, in fact, be part of some post-war security arrangement. And again, that, I think, is part of what they'll be talking about now.
All right, Jonah, I'll speak to you later. Thanks for that. In the meantime, Jonah Hull there in London. Thank you.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.